Hey everyone, welcome to today's LinkedIn live stream, Brand versus Bot, winning in the age of generative search. I'm your host, Jamie Barrientos, Marketing Operations Manager here at Future Group, and I'm glad that you're all joining us today for what promises to be a great conversation about the future of search and AI. Joining me today are two powerhouses in the marketing world. First up, we have Sarah Erdmash, who's the CMO of Future Group, who's been leading the charge on how brands should evolve their strategies in an AI-dominated world. And alongside her, we have Jessie Allen, the co-founder of Present Future, and one of the sharpest minds when it comes to brand discovery, emotional connection, and what's next in AI-driven search. So, why does this matter now? Well, by the end of the year, 95% of customer interactions will be powered by AI, and that number is currently going up as we're on the stream right now. We're seeing up to a 20% drop in organic traffic from AI driven search. And if you're not showing up the right way or not showing up at all, you're invisible. So today we're going to talk about what GEO actually is and why brand connection really matters more than ever, and how to future proof your strategy before playing catch up. So I'll kick it off. Sarah, what is GEO to you?
Hi, Jamie. Thank you for having me today. GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, also known as Answer Engine Optimization, and it's got several other names and acronyms to go with it. I think people are vaguely aware that we start off with SEO, which is a lexical search, keywords. You search for what you're looking for. Everyone's used to doing it in just those words because that's where the internet was 20 years ago when it was first launched. Now, as technology has evolved, it enables us with the large language models to do much more human-based searches, so question-based, kind of long-tail searches. You know, I was saying, Jamie, hey, could you recommend a restaurant for me? It's Tex-Mex in the centre of London. I don't like going to the city. That's basically what the generative engine is doing. You can do a really long contextual question and it will go out there and it'll return a much more specific response than just a basic keyword search would do. A lot of brands are now seeing an increase in searches coming from generative engines and a decrease in search engines. But this is just the beginning, because although we're now at the generative stage where people are asking contextual questions into an engine that will give them their response, the next step is those generative engines becoming proactive rather than reactive and coming to us and telling us what we're looking for, what we need, and what the solution is to that. So all we have to do is say yes or no, or select the option that they're recommending. So generative engines sits in the middle of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you say that because I see it now. Even yet, just yesterday, I was trying to look up a taco shop near me, and I got an AI summary result of like taco shops, and I was like, okay, I'm looking for food, not for a description of tacos. So Jesse, with AI summarizing search results, there's less room for brands I feel to stand out. How can companies use GEO to make sure they're chosen and not just found?
Hey, Jamie. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Hi, Sarah. I love this question, Jamie. Thanks so much. So, in the AI era, everybody's talking about visibility, and visibility is just table stakes, really. It's brand equity, that offline brand connection that's going to turn your discovery into selection. So a lot of businesses need to implement a two-pronged strategy that integrates both online optimization of content with brand equity building. These are both crucial components. The online content optimization that Sarah's talked about is absolutely fundamental to make sure that your brand is surfaced, and that's what the majority of businesses are looking at right now. But what's missing from the conversation is this offline brand building equity, because that's the elements that's going to accelerate selection of your business and ultimately conversion. And all business is in business for driving revenue. And it's that offline human connection that's going to develop an AI resistant brand equity through, and you can do that, brand strategist here, you start by developing a distinctive brand positioning to drive meaningful difference, which has a direct correlation to revenue, and building brand awareness for that instant recognition when your served brand on AI, you can automatically understand who that brand is, and that's a shortcut to credibility. And then you also brands need to make sure they ensure their offline brand experiences match their promises, so it fuels positive reviews that are both in person and online, which goes back to that content optimization piece and that credibility authority piece. Word of mouth to drive brand searches and memorable in-person experiences. So it's that integration between both technical optimization skills and offline brand building skills that's going to help businesses get found from the beginning, not just found, but selected.
So absolutely. To that point, I mean, this whole point about brand standout and visibility, although the generative engines or answer engines are delivering these results to people, it's people that are getting those results. So the generative engine is we were doing as a human, we're used to doing a long list, which we turn into a short list, which we would then do further research into. And by that time, brands would have had a number of touch points to be able to build a relationship with their customers. Now that long listing process isn't happening, it's going straight to search shortlist through the search engine. The search engine is curating that information. It's telling you who you should get. You'll get maybe 2 or 3 solutions, and all those opportunities that you had previously to build a relationship have gone. Which is why you need to make sure that your visibility and language and consistency is consistent across all channels, online and offline. Because when you get that hit, you've got less chances to really convey to somebody that you are the brand for them. So that's where brand and search and visibility all really come together. Super important.
And Jessie, do you think AI-powered discovery will push more brands to want to focus more on building more emotional connections offline? And if so, what would be the approach?
I mean, if they want to grow their business, then absolutely, they need to. I mean, in this landscape, it requires brands to work harder both on and offline, as Sarah said, and making sure that those consistent messages across all omni-channel, digital and in-person experiences match, and drive that authentic human connection. And it's kind of really ironic, right? So we're talking about robots and algorithms here, but as AI mediates more of those digital interactions, that value of offline authentic human connection and emotional resonance is actually the need for that is going to increase, to create and drive that meaningful difference that sets brands apart from other competitors that might be surfaced as well, and speaks to that brand awareness. If you are served 2 brands and you recognize one and you don't recognize the other one, well, your process of shortlisting, is going to include the one that you recognize, right? So basically, yes, if a business wants to stay relevant and in business, they need to be incorporating both of these core elements.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because I feel the market has shifted, especially with SEO. And now geos in play. A lot of companies are, well, how do we do it right? How do we shift? Smash, since the companies are shifting now, what are they missing by not shifting their focus to GEO? And if a company wanted to start shifting and implementing to GEO, like what would be the first step they should take?
2 questions. Thanks, Jamie. The first question,
I
why
called you
now?
Smash,
The first question, why now? Why now? Because I think I'm confident that anyone that's got access to their analytics on their website will see that they already have traffic coming through generative. It is on there. I can see it on. I've got a Squarespace site for a social enterprise that I work on, and I can see traffic. 26% of my traffic is coming from ChatGPT. I'm also anecdotally having conversations with people. I spoke to a CRO last week, and she was saying very much that they are seeing, they're not just seeing traffic, they're seeing leads coming through generative. They are seeing revenue come through generative, and they are already having conversations about future-proofing their pipeline. So if you're doing SEO already, you're halfway there with doing GEO. You should be there. You should be making sure that you're taking every opportunity. And of course, the early adopter has got the first advantage. So that's why now. And it's just going to grow. I mean, the figures just look staggering. They went from being 26% adoption of GEO by the end of 2026, and now it's on about 50%. It depends on which answer engine you ask. And then in terms of what first step, I think Jessie and I come very much from the same place. Actually, I knew Jamie. Always start with an audit. Where are you now? What traffic have you got? What's performing well? What search terms are working? It's very similar to SEO at the very basic. Just start looking at what would work better. There's loads of best practice material out there. I publish stuff on LinkedIn all the time, actually, as well. Yeah, look at where you are now. Look at what your competitors are doing. They might not be doing anything, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be. And start to figure out what those key terms are and how people are phrasing questions, and make sure that you're starting to develop and reiterate your content framed in the way that somebody is putting in a contextual search, so answer question based rather than a lexical keyword based search. So, but always start at the beginning, start with the basics. Where are you? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there?
Yeah. I just add to that audit point. Sarah talked to the optimization, the online optimization bit. Talking from the brand bit, it's a similar audit. Who is your customer? How well do you know them? If you don't know them, make sure you know them better. Really get in and under their skin so that you're answering the questions that they're going to be asking, and making sure that you are showing up in the ways that they want you to show up, or want a business of your service and needs to be for them. And then look against the competitor map and make sure that your positioning and what you're going to market with really stands out and drives that connection with the customer. So again, it's that two-pronged approach from both the online optimization to your brand strategy, to make sure that you can stand out. And just from I have my own anecdotal story about clients. I'm currently advising one client who on his brand building, because he's great. He's very much an early adapter, but he's invested heavily in SEO to drive his leads into his business, and he's seen an 80%, that's 80% decline in SEO traffic year on year. And this is a small business, but he's realized and got quite quickly on board with GEO, and has invested in me and to build his brand to create that position that we're talking about, because he understands all these mechanisms. On the other flip side, I'm working with a B2B tech PR agency. Wonderful. Love them. A lot of their leads are coming through SEO, but they're quite savvy, and they already have quite a well thought out brand that is enabling them to have first mover advantage in this new landscape. And they're starting to see these leads come in from generative AI as well. So that brand piece is so really important. And if you're optimizing for SEO still, you're kind of optimizing for a declining technology. The opportunity here is to optimize both brand and online for something that is the future, not in the past.
So, it's interesting that you say that, because, a lot of people probably don't know where to start. Sarah gave us a good lead into that. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see right now for brands trying to stay visible, Jessie?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things going on. In terms of the marketplace, one, AI geo is, I mean, for us, we understand it, and we understand the imperative to be talking about this right now, but I think that's still a little bit nascent. A lot of people maybe not be aware of the big trends and the big transformation that's coming. So that market awareness is one point. The businesses and the service providers who are aware of it tend to be really siloed. So you've got the SEO agencies who, and not all of them, interestingly, but the SEO agencies who are migrating to this new evolution are talking very much on this optimization front, and they're not talking about the brand building front. So there's this lack of service provider that's able to integrate both skill sets into one product is another piece. And then finally, over the last 15 years, brand building has really taken a backseat in the marketing landscape for preference for performance marketing, really that short-term revenue driving marketing, and brands have become damaged because of it. Because you're fighting for clicks and you're fighting for bids rather than letting your brand awareness and your equity drive business. So those businesses that have not invested in brand have almost a harder time, because they have to start to build up that equity as well as optimize. So there are a couple of challenges happening in the marketplace.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that. the brand performance piece actually takes us to a whole another conversation, which I won't get into right now. But for the last 15 years, marketing has been so focused on performance that performance marketeers have come to the top, and it's brilliant. Everything should be data driven. It's really good. But a lot of the people that have done performance marketing have not done brand. So there's going to be there will be a dearth of experience of experienced marketeers who really understand brand and getting that brand equity across. But you asked what the biggest challenge that we're seeing at the moment from brands is, and I think from a B2B perspective, there are, and it probably speaks to the performance piece as well. I think it probably goes in the big loop, is that lack of understanding of who their customer is, or the fear of excluding somebody, so trying to be all things to all people. So they go out there with a really diluted message. It's features led, that, you know, yada yada, save time, save money, save everything. There's nothing different to anybody else. That brand muscle has not been exercised. No one's had to, not no one, some brands have not been through that process. They've relied too heavily on performance, and they're going to really lose out. So it's that the brand vulnerability is not having a brand and not knowing who your customer is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I'm a performance marketer, and I feel like that shift is definitely happening now. Back, like you said, Jesse, up to 15 years ago, the shift was focusing to paid media. How can we make our ads more useful? You know, we have search in a good spot, but now that it's evolved, GEO and SEO to their strategy, and also even shifting a large portion of their budgets to make it happen. So, you know, just to speak on that, Jesse, you know, what are some trends that brands should be aware of outside of GEO currently?
Yeah, it's not that trend so much. It's more to pick up on what Sarah just mentioned. It's an observation that B2B brands specifically, so B2C brands are really fantastic at, you know, really embedding and communicating that emotional benefit, going up the benefit ladder to speak at an emotional resonance level. B2B brands tend to play down at the product feature level, and it's really dry. And then it's like a race to the bottom, or a race to who can have the sexiest widget or whatever. And that really doesn't drive meaningful distinction or meaningful difference. So a call to action more than anything for B2B brands is to really start to think, okay, how can you elevate yourself up that emotional benefit ladder? You're probably not going to be talking about like the CRM is going to change your life for the better, but it will make your life easier as a professional in some way, and start to dial into that the benefit of what the business brings, and really start to drive meaningful difference in that way. The meaningfully different brands command price premiums, and they're more resilient over long term, over more challenging market conditions, which we're probably heading into if we're not already. So it's really a business imperative to consider. A second trend that I'm seeing is just in how people consume and shop media. So it's gone from one to many, where you have a broadcast message that's being scattered, has huge amounts of reach and is being scattered to lots of different people, to one to few. We're now many to many. So you have to, because consumers in both a B2C and a B2C context pick up marketing messages from loads of different places. Your brand, your business has to be communicating in lots of different ways, encompassing a very integrated media matrix, from broadcast to engagement to social, the whole thing. The other trend that I'm seeing is more on the consumer front, is brands dialing into culture a lot, and really tapping into engagement at a community level, which really drives that connection, and becoming more active. So there was that great case study when Taylor Swift kind of like, it got out that she was dating Travis Kelce, and Heinz jumped on it, and they created Seemingly Crunch, and it was a fantastic movement. And I think they saw 52,000% return on that marketing investment. So it's that drive into community. So two trends, one call to action. B2B brands, please think about your brand, because it really matters. Drive up the emotional benefit ladder. Many to many in terms of media and marketing messages, and cultural specific, and diving into communities.
Yeah, I think Jessie's done a great job of focusing on the marketing and brand trends, which is what we're all about. But I think, going back to what I was saying earlier, that the generative engine movement. We're probably about 70% of the way there in terms of where technology is taking us. The next step, and we're here, the technology exists and some businesses are already offering it and using it, is for answer engines to be proactive rather than reactive. So Jessie's travel client won't be getting he won't be getting clients from search. He'll be getting them from they're called digital twins. So my digital twin will say, Sarah, you haven't been on holiday for 2 years. The last destinations you went to were X, Y, Z. I've done some research for you. You like to go in July. This is a really good place. This is usually in your price bracket. Do you want to book it? And I'll be like, awesome, yes, please. So Jess's client needs to make sure that he's there now for generative engine optimization, so that he's there for the not too distant future when my digital twin's doing all of my shopping and doing it on my behalf.
Yeah, that's great information, guys. Appreciate you. Before we lead into our final question, I just want to remind the audience we will have enough time for a few questions. If you have a question for either Sarah or Jessie, please leave it in the comments below, and we'll get to your question. Just make sure you address your question to either Sarah or Jessie. So one last question for you, Jessie, and also Sarah, and it'll be a question for the both of you. We'll start with Jessie. Jessie, if you had to give one key piece of advice to marketers about preparing for the future of AI search, what would it be?
The marketers must develop future-proof strategies, integrating both technical GEO optimization and expertise with strategic brand building. They're both crucial to not only discovery, but the all-important conversion.
Mine's much briefer. Start now. Just do it. Just get on with it. Don't be scared. Don't get blindsided by acronyms and lists and stuff. Just do it.
Dive in.
Love it. That's great. All right. Well, Jessie, we're waiting for some questions to pop up if we get any. Where can people find you on the web?
LinkedIn is brilliant. I'm here most of the time.
Awesome. And you, Sarah?
Same. Isn't everyone on LinkedIn? That's where we get found on the generative engines.
Okay, we're just gonna take a peek here and see if we're getting any comments. Just remind everyone out there, use this time to ask questions. Don't be shy. We have a question that just came in, and I'll just ask it, whether that's for Sarah or Jessie. And the question is, what's the biggest misconception / myth about GEO?
Oh, Sarah, you go ahead.
I think that, Jessie, you actually talked to it earlier. I was going to say later, maybe later. It's that it's just an extension of SEO. It's just a technical search thing. It is not. Without connecting your generative engine stuff and your brand, you're in trouble. So that would be the biggest myth. You need to be combining the two.
I would also add to that, it's not scary. It is scary. It's a new language that we have to learn. It's a new frontier, but we've done this before, right? Do you remember when the internet came out? Like, we had to deal and adapt and evolve to that, and we did. Do you remember when Facebook came out? Again, we had to pivot and adapt to that, and we did. And it's just another piece of technology in the landscape that we need to learn. And screw your learning head on and get into it. And just trust me, there are going to be more learning technologies that we need to get on as well. So don't get scared, ask questions. Don't be afraid to look stupid, because apart from Sarah and me, everybody's learning about this stuff.
And we're still there.
I have one more question, and this one is for Sarah. Sarah, are you currently implementing any GEO strategy at Future Group?
Yes, we're just working on a proposal for one of our clients. Don't really want to talk about it. It's a B2B brand, very specialist. We do know our ICP. So yeah, yes, I am. And it moves the dial really quickly. I think possibly it's a little bit more straightforward because it was starting from a lower starting point in the nicest possible way. But yeah, we are doing it. It's working. We're seeing results.
All right, awesome. Thanks for your response, Sarah. And we have enough time for just one more question. Let me just see here if we got any more coming through the chat. Okay, it looks like we have one for Jessie. For Jessie, can you let us know, or can you clarify a little bit on why you feel that brand marketing has took a backseat to performance marketing over the last decade?
Shareholder value, in a word, like so, big corporations and capitalism on steroids. Shareholders need to see their value. So, brand equity. It takes time to build, and time to see the results of building your brand over the long term. And when you have a CEO under pressure from shareholders to deliver results, the first thing that goes is budgets that don't return quite quickly. So performance marketing is very clear. A very clear correlation between money spent and investment, and it also is very, very effective in driving revenue, but it's a short, so it's shareholder value, over the sorry, excuse me. So shareholder value to drive and accelerate revenue at the short term at the sake of long term brand building.
Okay, got it. And then thanks for your response. All right, well, everyone, thank you for joining our live stream today. Stay tuned for future LinkedIn live streams we'll be hosting. Jessie, thank you again for joining us today and giving us some great insights all about brand discovery, AI search, and same for you, Sarah. Thank you so much. For the audience out there, we're going to be actually sending out a recording of this. It'll be on our YouTube channel. We'll be posting clips. Don't hesitate to reach out to either Sarah or Jessie. They're both tagged in this video and many posts on our page, and ask questions. If you have questions about GEO, AI search, or any brand or brand discovery, don't hesitate to reach out. And as always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.